Hi, I'm Gary and welcome to my shop. In this video I'm going to show you how I make this hat rack, kind of a patriotic style, stars and stripes and so forth, and show you how I do this. Now, making a hat rack may not be one of the most exciting projects you ever worked on, but there's a lot of techniques and tricks that I'll show you in this. Of just general things that you can use for other kinds of woodworking. So stay tuned and you might learn something. At least I hope you will. Alright, so what I did is I had taken this board out I was working on before and had it stuffed away in a corner of the basement, and it's going to be my hat hook rack system. And what this is a 1x6 board that's 6 feet long. I wanted to put 6 dowels on it, or 6 hat hooks on it. I don't have like 50 hats, but I've got maybe a dozen hats or something, so you can hang maybe more than one hat on a hook. So anyways, to get these equally spaced on the holes here, what I did is I took the 6 feet and then divided that by 7, and that gave me the equal spacing from the ends and between each other. To get these equally spaced. And I did this on a white and a blue here. My idea is to make this look something like a American flag. I'll put some stars on here. I've been cleaning these up and repainting it a bit. And I'll put some red stripes on this part here to make it look more like the flag. And what I did is I drilled all these holes in these for the pegs. And these are 1-inch pegs that I'm using, or dowels. And I drilled these holes with a Forstner bit, 1 inch, and I drilled them at a 30-degree angle. And I did it on my drill press, and I've got this jig or table that I built to put on my drill press that the table kind of tilts upwards like that, across the way the board feeds here. I don't want it tilting this way or that way. The table will tilt that way, but that's not the way I want to make these angles for these holes here. So I built this jig to give me an angle like this. Perhaps I'll show you that on another video, or show you how to make it. It's quite simple. And what I did also on these pegs here, or these dowels, so I put a 30-degree angle on these also. And when I'm standing this up, I'm going to put these in so that the flat end goes into the hole, so it's going to go at an angle a little bit, coming out of that angle. But the top end here is going to be like flat or vertical with the ground plane. So that'll give me a good kind of like hook or point on that for holding the hats in place. So what I'll do is move on and show you more about, basically I'm going to be fitting these pegs in here and then putting some fasteners on the back side here so I can hang this on the wall, and getting it painted up and ready to go up on the wall. Okay, I'm going to show you quickly here how I made this jig for my drill press so I can get slanted boards for drilling slanted holes in things. And what I've got is this board here. It's basically 2 boards together on a piano hinge. Got everything lined up, squared up, and I've got this cleat here for holding the workpieces in place. And here I've got markings, one at 30 degrees, one at 15 degrees. The farther in I go, the steeper of an angle I'm going to get. The further out I go, the more shallow of an angle I'm going to get. And also put in the bottom of this 1-inch dowel. On the cast iron table of my drill press, there is a 1-inch hole in the middle of it, and that works great for putting a lot of different kinds of tables and jigs and stuff like that in it, because I slip this in and everything just holds very nice and tight, and no extra clamping is needed. So works great that way. It's just a little awkward to show it here on a flat surface like this. So the way this would work is I want to get this at a 30 degree. So what I'm going to do is I got this board that I use, and I've got a Sharpie mark on here so I know that this is the edge that I set my settings with and measurements with here. If I turned it around the other way, I might be off a little bit because maybe this board's not perfectly centered on there. So this is how I had it set when I set up all my marks here, so that's the way I'll use it. And then what I'll do is use some clamps to hold this in place. Make sure I'm lined up. That's good. So I've got that on there. Now, I've got this sitting at a 30-degree angle, and then I can take my board that I've been working on to make these holes and set it on here and make the angle cuts that I want to make when it's sitting flat. And I can just slide this along to do the next hole and the next hole as I need, and they're all going to be in the same location. So, like I said, it's a really simple jig I made here. Just 2 boards on a piano hinge, and I used this board here and tested my angles and so forth and exactly where I needed to position this board, marked out my settings, and that's what I go by. Works great. There are other ways of doing it. Maybe you can get more precision and stuff out of it. This works pretty good, and it's easy and not complicated, so that's what I need. So, that's how I make my slant board for my drill press. Okay, what I've done here is I taped off with a blue side here where I'm going to have the stars at. Then I taped off with like this 1-inch strip blue tape, painter's tape. Went down the middle where the pegs are going to be at. Then 1 strip at the top edge, 1 at the bottom edge, and painted on the red stripes. So that seems to be coming out pretty good. Peel this off. So there I've got my red stripes on here, and I'll take this part off, expose the blue, and then start painting my stars on this, which I'm going to do by hand by one of these paint sticks. They don't have to be perfect shaped stars, just kind of a semblance of the shape of a star. So I will do that. Alright, so I've got this all tape taken off, got the blue part exposed here. Everything came out well. Might be a few minor spots that touch up. Touch-ups like that, very small, I can do with like model painter's tape, that enamel stuff that comes in that tiny little bottle. Works great for touch-ups like that. Touch-ups are needed on this. People will probably never notice or see it anyway, so the only reason I'll do it is for my own desire. So, alright, so next step, I'll paint some stars onto this blue part here and see how that comes out. Okay, here's how I painted on these stars onto this blue part here. And what I used for doing that, it's not perfect stars. It's hand painted, and that's what adds character for it. So, but I used this Sharpie paint pen. It's an oil-based paint, and works great. You can get them in different kinds of tips, from fine to medium to broad point tip, and use it for doing these kind of crafts. I'm going to sand up some of these dowels here to get them to they fit into those holes on that hat rack there for the flag style, and then I'll get these glued in. Actually, I'll probably paint part of them before I glue them in, but I'll leave a certain amount of this here bare, so when I glue them in, the wood glue will hold and not have to worry about the paint. So I'll get this going here. Now I'll test this for fit. Well, I need to do just a little bit more and it'll fit in the hole pretty good. Then I'll do all the rest of them the same way. Give this a try. Alright, got a good fit with that. I'll do the rest of these up and get them all done. Okay, so I've got all these fitted here, and these pegs fit in pretty good. What I'll do next is paint them up, leave a portion there unpainted, then I'll glue these into place. So here I put these dowels into some spring clamps to hold them in place while I spray painted them. Just use some white primer and paint in a spray can to paint them, and then of course I've got them on this lazy Susan so I can turn things around as I paint them and get them well covered all the way around, and that'll work out pretty good. I'm thinking about painting the tips of these with different colors so they kind of stand out when they're up on the wall and don't disappear into the white wall on me. Thinking about going with the red, white, and blue on the ends of them alternatively. What I've done here, I've taken this board and got the blue at this end, the stripes here. This will be flipped around when I hang it on the wall. The blue would be at this end, but for this purpose of showing what I have to do before I put on these pegs here for hanging the hats on, is I got to put on these mounts on the back side of this for hanging it onto the wall, and I'm going to be using these slots that'll go onto here. And the way I located these is, this is 6 foot long, so I measured my center right here at 36 inches. Then I went over 16 inches each way, which is supposed to be on center for studs in most houses. It's not always true in every case, but it's supposed to be. If I don't find a stud at those locations, as I've got this hanging up kind of centered on the wall where I want to put it, then I'll do some hollow wall mounts to accommodate that. So and that's all I think it'll take for hanging this on the wall. It's just these two mounts. There's not a lot of weight to this, and I'm not going to be putting a lot of weight on it with the hats either. And when I make the indentations, or the slots here for these hangers to fit into, I need to go 1/4 inch deep, and I'll be using a 5/8 inch Forstner bit to drill 3 holes on that. Then I'll clean up a little bit with a chisel to get a good fit with this. I already did some testing on another piece of scrap, and that's how it's going to work. Now, when I go to my drill press over here, of course, that's close to the garage door, and right now we got 1 degree below zero outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this on and drill these holes, then I'll flip it, and then drill the other holes that I need to do, and then I'll clean them up and be ready to put these hardware on so I can hang it on the wall. After I got those done, then I can put the pegs on for hanging the hats. What I will do here now is to take my chisel and I'll cut along these lines I've got here to, that's just by pressing down on it. It's fairly soft wood. Then I can clean that out of there and fit that hardware in. There we go. Now I'll do that to the other side, get that cleaned out, and my hardware pieces can fit right into that. Okay, so I've got these plates in here. What I'm going to do is take a couple of flathead number 6 wood screws to screw into here to hold these in place. See if I can get this in here. And of course I want to make sure I've got this slanted part facing towards the top side of the board here. Otherwise, if I got it upside down, it's not going to stay on there, just fall right off. So I decided to paint a couple of these pegs. They're going to be the white pegs I taped them off and painting the tips. I'm going to tape them, or paint them red, white, and blue. So I'm doing 2 of them in blue, 2 of them in red, and the white ones, they're already white, so I don't have to paint those. Then I'll stick these on in an order so that they show up as red, white, and blue. Now I have all these pegs glued in on this board. All my hats pegs so I can hang my hats on them. Next step is once the glue dries, then I will mount this to the wall and put my hats on it. Now you may notice that I've got quite a bit of distance between some of these pegs here. That's because some of my hats that I've got multiples of, I'll put them on these large S-hooks that I'll show you later, so I can hang multiple hats on one peg. Well, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and you got some inspiration from it. If you did, please give me a like and please give me your comments and what you would like to see. Also, please subscribe so you won't miss anything. So if the ladies don't find you handsome, at least they should find you handy. Thank you.